And thank you for the organizers for having me part of this really wonderful conference. Coming at the second day, a lot has been said about cultural awareness and the importance of culture. So I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, and I won't be saying anything that hasn't already been said, but what we're going to look at today is the detailed differentiations and getting a little bit more into the practicalities of the topic, if you like. So technology and the ease of travel have opened up the world, while globalization has increased the mobility of people, as others have said today. And people have been moving in search of better economic and social opportunities. Today, there are an estimated of 232 million immigrant workers around the world. In the United Arab Emirates alone, 87% of its population of 9 million are expats. Many cross-cultural researchers and writers compare culture to an iceberg, and Dr. Omar used that slide yesterday and showed the hippopotamus or the iceberg. Like an iceberg, culture has two distinct parts. One is visible above the waterline, and the other is invisible under the waterline. Although the top part of the iceberg can be very interesting, almost 80% of it is underwater. And it is in this hidden part where the foundations lie, the values, the beliefs, and all the underlying causes of why people behave the way that they do. Now, there's plenty of evidence to support the critical need for cross-cultural intelligence. How many diplomatic crises could have been avoided? How many broken business deals and fractured relationships could have been saved with a little cultural intelligence? Most of these problems are not the result of a wrong handshake or of wearing the wrong business attire to a meeting. These issues build up over time, causing confusion, frustration, and even resentment. My first experience of that came when I was working as a broadcast journalist for CNN during the first Gulf War. Daily, we were faced with so many issues that were the result of simple misunderstandings or misinterpretations of culturally motivated behavior. My colleagues took a lot of things for granted and applied what they believed to be universal standards of normal and right. Communication was a struggle. They could not see what I saw, and it was as if we were looking at one of those pictures that had the two images in them, the ones that Pari showed in her presentation yesterday. I could only see one image while they were baffled and confused because they could not see what I was talking about. I was so frustrated in the end that I ended up actually taking a career-changing decision. When I later joined the British Embassy in Amman as communications manager, cultural awareness played a significant role in my job. Every single activity that we did, whether it was the announcement of a business partnership in the country, a royal visit, a political statement, or the launching of a project, everything had a cultural awareness dimension to it. It was my responsibility to look at how a message could be understood or interpreted through a local lens, and what could be done to ensure that no offense was committed and that we communicated the message that we actually intended to communicate. Now, I don't need to say this to this room of this audience who are experts in the field, but we all know that now communications is no longer the press release or the press statement or even the tweet or the whatever we post on Facebook. We're constantly communicating all the time. In everything that we do, we are communicating a message. Just when you wake up in the morning and decide what to wear in that day for work or for that meeting, you're actually communicating a message. Your body language, how you carry yourself, you're communicating a message. Your tone of voice and the words that you choose, you're communicating a message. And culture, of course, has a very integral part in all of that. The idea that what we need to be aware of is, are we actually communicating the message that we intend to communicate, or is the message is it the wrong one? The first step to cultural sensitivity is acceptance. It starts with understanding that there is no right and wrong, just different. Accepting that your way is just one of the options out there, and that there are many different ways for seeing and doing things. As David Noggle put it, there is no impartial ground from which to reason or interpret reality. Two people can be looking at the same picture, but they see completely different images. Different perceptions and different patterns of thinking will color a person's view. Our brain plays tricks on us at times, and Dr. Mansour talked about the neurology of all of that. So our brain plays tricks on us, at times making us see things that are not even there, and at other times we completely miss what is actually there. We draw conclusions because we are trained to see only certain things that are in line with our own perceptions, views, and beliefs. Cultural awareness is an ongoing process that starts with the commitment to maintain an open mind and a curious attitude that seeks to understand rather than judge. It requires that you first look inward at our own beliefs, viewpoints, behavior, and your own cultural traits. Keeping in mind that while your society and traditions may appear to be the norm for you, they may appear to be strange for others. Cultural intelligence is about learning to respond in a different manner that is appropriate to the context. It also requires a degree of emotional intelligence, in particular the ability to control feelings of anger, frustration, and resentment, which are all in essence a fear of the unfamiliar. It does not mean that you must agree with the other's beliefs and viewpoints. And you're certainly not meant to shed your skin and change who you are. But like the lizard, it involves adjusting the externals, but not changing the DNA. The point is to understand by focusing on the why rather than what people do or don't do. To approach the experience with respect for the other, mixed with genuine curiosity, rather than just judgment and fear. Now, this cannot be learned through a list of do's and don'ts, and it takes